What would you risk for a legendary treasure? Percy Fawcett risked everything. He was a famous explorer obsessed with finding a lost city deep in the Amazon jungle, a place of unimaginable wealth he called the City of Z. This is the epic and tragic story of one man's consuming obsession and one of history's most famous vanishings. By the end, you will understand the shocking truth behind the myth that cost him his life. We will explore what really happened in the unforgiving jungle and uncover the modern discovery that changed everything. What is the one belief you would follow to the very end? Percy Fawcett was a man forged by discipline and adventure, a decorated colonel in the Royal Artillery. He was not some reckless fortune hunter, but a fellow of the prestigious Royal Geographical Society, a trained archaeologist celebrated for his meticulous mapping of vast, uncharted regions of South America. His courage and endurance in the face of disease and hostile tribes were so legendary that the press crowned him the David Livingstone of the Amazon. He had survived countless dangers that would have broken lesser men, building a reputation for being both unshakable and scientifically rigorous. Yet this seasoned professional harbored a secret passion, an obsession that began to eclipse all his previous accomplishments. It was ignited by a single, fragile document he uncovered in the National Library of Brazil. Dated 1753, this manuscript described a sprawling, sophisticated civilization hidden deep within the jungle, a place with grand plazas, towering temples, and streets paved with silver. This was the seed from which his grand theory grew. Fawcett became convinced that a complex, ancient society he called the City of Z had once thrived in the Amazon, a notion that flew in the face of everything his contemporaries believed. The academic establishment of the early 20th century laughed at him. They saw the Amazon as a green hell, incapable of supporting anything more than small, scattered tribes. The idea of a lost citadel of high culture was pure fantasy to them, the stuff of children's stories. Their mockery and dismissal did not dissuade Fawcett. Instead, it hardened his resolve. He would mount one final, definitive expedition into the heart of the unknown. He would find the City of Z and prove every single one of his critics wrong. In April of 1925, Percy Fawcett embarked on his final, fateful journey. This time, his expedition was intensely personal. He was not leading a large, cumbersome team, but a small, dedicated party of 3. By his side was his 21-year-old son, Jack, a young man who shared his father's burning obsession and had trained relentlessly for this moment, hardening his body and spirit for the trials ahead. Accompanying Jack was his best friend, Raleigh Rimmel, a charming and athletic 18-year-old whose presence was meant to bolster their morale. Fawcett believed a small group would move faster, attract less attention from potentially hostile tribes, and live off the land more efficiently. Their target was the vast, unmapped Mato Grosso region of Brazil, a place so remote and treacherous that it was literally a blank space on the map. Their plan was meticulously charted, a deep thrust into the heart of the green hell. They would travel by river and then proceed on foot, following a series of cryptic clues and Fawcett's own intuitions toward the fabled City of Z. The world watched with a mix of skepticism and fascination as they disappeared into the canopy. For months, the only threads connecting them to the outside world were the native runners Fawcett employed to carry messages back to the outposts. The messages that arrived were initially filled with a contagious optimism. They described difficult but successful progress, promising signs, and the unwavering belief that they were closing in on their goal. Fawcett's reports spoke of strange, uncharted rivers and ancient markings that hinted at a lost civilization just beyond the next ridge. The tension was palpable for those waiting, each new message a relief and a fresh spark of anticipation. Then, on the 29th of May, a final packet of letters was delivered. Among them was a last, haunting message addressed to his wife, Nina. It was reassuring and confident, a testament to his unshakable faith. he wrote, "You need have no fear of any failure." He believed wholeheartedly that they were on the verge of the greatest archaeological discovery of the age. After that, nothing, no more runners emerged from the jungle. The stream of communication, once so hopeful, dried up completely. The three men, Percy, Jack, and Raleigh, simply vanished. The immense, impenetrable wilderness swallowed them without a sound, leaving behind only a chilling silence and a mystery that would captivate and torment the world for decades. One moment they were there, on the cusp of legend, and the next they were gone forever. Silence is a powerful force, especially when it stretches from months into years. The world, which had been holding its breath for news from Percy Fawcett, slowly realized the awful truth. The explorer and his party were not coming back. Their disappearance did not fade into obscurity. Instead, it exploded into a global sensation, a mystery that captured the public imagination and refused to let go. Newspapers around the world ran sensational headlines, turning Fawcett's quest into a cautionary tale and a romantic legend. The blank space on the map where he vanished seemed to pulse with a terrifying allure. This was not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new, even deadlier chapter. The mystery of the City of Z now became the mystery of the lost explorers themselves, and dozens of adventurers felt compelled to solve it. Over the following decades, a grim procession of rescue missions and independent search parties plunged into the same unforgiving jungle. They were driven by a mix of noble intent, personal ambition, and the intoxicating pull of the unknown. The result was a staggering human cost. It is estimated that over 100 explorers lost their own lives in the relentless green maze, all trying to find out what happened to one man and his small party. The Amazon had claimed Fawcett, and it seemed eager to claim anyone who came looking for him. With every failed rescue attempt, new theories sprouted like jungle vines, each trying to explain the trio's fate. The most widely accepted theory pointed to the indigenous tribes of the region. The Kalapalos were the last people to have any confirmed contact with Fawcett's group. Did a misunderstanding lead to a violent confrontation? Were they seen as a threat and eliminated? This was a tragically common end for outsiders in that territory. Other, less dramatic possibilities suggested they simply fell victim to the jungle itself. Disease was a constant companion, with malaria and yellow fever being ruthless killers. Starvation was a very real threat in an environment that could be deceptively barren, or a simple accident on a treacherous river could have ended everything in an instant. Yet the most bizarre theories suggested Fawcett had achieved a different kind of disappearance entirely. Some speculated that he had never intended to return, that he found his mythical city and chose to live there in secret, founding a mystical commune deep in the wilderness, free from the modern world. This fantastical idea was fueled over the years by a series of cruel hoaxes and imposters. Men would occasionally emerge from the jungle, sometimes years apart, claiming to be Jack Fawcett or Raleigh Rimmel, spinning elaborate tales of survival and lost kingdoms. Each one was eventually exposed, but their stories added layers of confusion and myth to an already opaque mystery. The truth remained buried, not under stone and earth, but under an impenetrable canopy of speculation, hope, and profound loss. The legend had consumed the man, and in doing so, it created a void that seemed to swallow all who dared to enter. For decades, the academic consensus was clear. Percy Fawcett was a deluded man chasing a phantom. The evidence seemed irrefutable. The Amazon soil was notoriously poor, a thin layer of nutrients quickly exhausted, seemingly incapable of supporting the intensive agriculture needed for a large, centralized city. The jungle was seen as a pristine wilderness, a green desert where only small, nomadic tribes could survive. This scientific certainty painted Fawcett not as a visionary, but as a tragic fool who had led his son and his friend to their deaths for a fairy tale. Then the story took an astonishing turn, one that would rewrite the history books and force a complete re-evaluation of the Amazon's past. modern archaeology, armed with tools Fawcett could never have dreamed of, began to peel back the canopy. From high above, satellite imagery and LiDAR, a laser-based radar that can see through dense vegetation, revealed the ghostly outlines of a lost world. What appeared from the ground to be untouched wilderness was in fact an ancient engineered landscape. Vast geometric earthworks, enormous circular plazas, and complex networks of causeways and roads became visible from the air, etched into the earth on a scale that was previously unimaginable. On the ground, archaeologists like Michael Heckenberger followed these high-tech maps, conducting painstaking surveys in the very regions Fawcett had explored. They did not find a single, solitary metropolis of gold and silver. Instead, they uncovered the remains of a sprawling, interconnected civilization. They found evidence of large, fortified villages, sometimes housing thousands of people, connected by straight, wide roads that ran for dozens of miles. These settlements were surrounded by sophisticated earthworks, including moats, palisades, and complex systems of ponds and canals designed to farm fish. This was not a single city of Z, but a network of garden cities, a distributed civilization that managed the forest with incredible ingenuity. They cultivated the soil using a technique known as terra preta, or Amazonian dark earth, a man-made, super-rich soil they created to sustainably support their agriculture for centuries. So was Percy Fawcett right? The answer is both heartbreaking and profound. He was wrong about the specifics. There was no lone, glittering citadel waiting to be discovered. His tragic flaw was one of misplaced precision, of imagining one grand city instead of a civilization woven into the very fabric of the jungle itself. Yet, on the fundamental question that defined his life, he was spectacularly correct. The Amazon was not a pristine wilderness. It had been home to a large, complex, and sophisticated society that profoundly shaped its environment. His great theory, the one for which he was ridiculed and for which he ultimately died, was true. He had seen a shadow of the truth where others saw only empty jungle. His tragedy was that he was looking for a single jewel when the entire forest was the treasure. Percy Fawcett's story is far more than a simple tale of a missing explorer. It is a profound and timeless human drama about the immense power of belief. His entire life was a testament to the idea that a single conviction can propel a person to the very edges of the known world and sometimes beyond. He lived in that delicate, dangerous space between visionary genius and fatal obsession, a line so fine that it is often invisible to those who walk it. His disappearance did not end his story, it transformed it. The man was consumed by the jungle, but in his absence, the legend of the city of Z grew to monumental proportions, a ghost that haunted the 20th century and ultimately outshone the flesh and blood soldier who had sparked it. For generations, he was remembered as the ultimate fool, a man who sacrificed his son for a mirage. Yet in a stunning twist of fate, modern science has become his greatest ally. The satellites and lasers that revealed the lost garden cities of the Amazon did more than rewrite history. They offered a form of posthumous redemption. They proved that Fawcett's fundamental intuition was not madness, but a kind of prescient wisdom. He was right about the civilization, even if he was wrong about the city. This is the poignant heart of his epic, The Ultimate Explorer's Paradox. He died searching for a specific myth, only for the broader, more wonderful truth to be confirmed long after he was gone. It forces us to ask what myths we would be willing to follow into the unknown. What idea is so powerful that you would risk everything for it? The story of Percy Fawcett does not give us easy answers, but it asks the most compelling questions. Was he a hero who saw a truth no one else could see, or a fool who led his loved ones to a preventable tragedy? Or was he something in between, a man so defined by his quest that he became one with the mystery itself? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you are captivated by history's greatest enigmas, be sure to subscribe for more stories that walk the line between legend and reality.